Hi, everybody. My name is Weiner. I'm your host again for another session on luxury audio and video. We do have a sponsor for this session, Steve, who's with Leviton, who apparently has invented some wonderful technology that's been licensed to Leviton. Is going to come up and give us a quick presentation. And then when he's finished, we're going to get started with our session. So enjoy your lunches and enjoy his presentation. Thanks.
Good afternoon. I'm grateful for the opportunity this afternoon to introduce you to Decora Evolve from Leviton. And before I do, I'd like to start by asking you a question and involve you in thinking about the following. As a builder, what is more important to you? Offering home buyers more options or building homes cost efficiently? How many of you would raise your hand and say, if you had to pick one, in today's environment, at your organization, is it more important to offer home buyers more options, show of hands, or build homes cost efficiently? So we've got about 80 or 90% in the latter. What if you could have the best of both worlds? Doesn't seem possible until now. This 1-minute video will introduce you to Decora Evolve.
Home builders have a choice. Build to order to give home buyers options, or build to spec for cost efficiency. With the Decora Evolve modular switch and outlet system, builders can have the best of both worlds. Builders achieve cost efficiency by installing Decora Evolve base switches and outlets with standard wiring, electrical boxes, and faceplates. Home buyers can then customize any switch or outlet by simply changing modules in seconds. For hands-free control, use a motion sensor module. To add ambiance, try a basic dimmer module. Or choose a Wi-Fi enabled smart dimmer that can be controlled by your voice or smartphone. Many modules can be conveniently added to switch or outlet bases. For example, add a USB module to a switch or outlet in the kitchen to charge your phone or tablet. Other modules include nightlights, smart switches, and more. Leviton's Decora Evolve is an exclusive design that delivers the best of build to order and build to spec, empowering builders to offer the benefits of customization without the costs.
Now, if I can invite you to shift your focus up to the front here. This is what we call the Design Center Display Kit. This is available to you as a builder in your design center at no cost. It helps you to illustrate to the home buyer and to yourself the two items that I started with, which is cost efficiency for you and options for your home buyers. Specifically, when you do your new builds, you will put Decora Evolve base switches at every switch location in the home. You'll put Decora Evolve outlets at every location in the home where you would normally see a traditional outlet or a Decora outlet. That's your piece of the puzzle to get to cost efficiency. And depending on your business model today, cost efficiency will mean anywhere from literally cost neutral to somewhere between $50 and, in extreme case, $200 more per home. You have the opportunity, though, to generate profit by selling bundles of modules. And to do that, you'll illustrate to the home buyer that at every location in the home, they've got a switch. And if they'd like to turn that switch into a dimmer switch, all they'll do in a matter of seconds is plug in the dimmer module. By the way, this piece of plastic that I took out serves no function other than to cover up the cavity. And now you'll be able to illustrate in a matter of seconds that your home buyer has just created a dimmer in the design center, or their dining room, or their living room, or wherever in the house they want a dimmer to be. Similarly, you can illustrate over on the outlet side by taking out the bottom of two receptacles and putting in the USB module, and you've now turned a duplex receptacle into a single outlet with USB charging, in this case, an A and C. Oh, by the way, if you wanted to do the USB charging in the kitchen in a location that was over the counter where you already had a light, you can move the USB over there and still independently control the light. The other modules which we have available on day one include, in addition to the simple dimmer, there's a smart dimmer, there's a motion sensor. Imagine walking into a laundry room with your hands full of clothes and the light turns on automatically. There's a smart switch, and there's a night light. Now, what we do with these to create a profit path is that you then show the home buyer that they can purchase one of 3 bundles of modules. And so those bundles include what we call the 24 module bundle Elite Experience, 18 module Daily Delight, and 9 module Everyday Essentials. The Elite Experience is loaded with smart modules, so 13 of the modules are smart dimmers and smart switches. The Daily Delight is the perfect blend of smart and simple, where you get at least one of all 6 modules. And for any of your home buyers who say, I'm not a smarty pants, I don't want that smart stuff, I don't want a smart switch, I don't want a smart dimmer, no problem. They would go to the Everyday Essentials, which contains all the smart modules, the USB chargers, the night lights, the motion sensors, and the simple dimmers. You generate profits when you buy these modules direct from Leviton, and then you sell them to the home buyer in the design center or via your integrator, low voltage provider, who sometimes is in the design center, sometimes is separate from the design center, and some builders do a mix and match of who sells electrical upgrades. Now, in addition to the design center kit, we're working on a series of videos that are meant to be consumer facing to make home buyers aware that this exists, and also to help you in the selling process. And what I like to do is show you 3 30-second videos and provide instant feedback about which you think are most effective. So you're a little focus group for us today, helping us to decide how can we be most helpful to you in helping you sell modules profitably. Let's take a look. Do you like best the USB, the smart dimmer, or the Anthem? First, the USB.
Chloe, did you take my charger?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Teenagers steal phone chargers. That's never going to change. Fortunately, you can change your kitchen outlet to a USB charger with Decor Evolve.
Hey, Dad, you using that?
Okay.
Now video number 2, the smart dimmer.
I sent those spreadsheets. I haven't even read the book for book club. I can do pickup from school lessons. Whoa, really?
Life gets crazy. That's never going to change. Fortunately, you can change your light switch to a smart dimmer
Dim the lights.
with Decor Evolve.
Honey, have you seen my...
And now the final video.
Dim the lights.
Nobody knows how life will unfold in a new home. That's never going to change. Fortunately, you can change switches and outlets to adapt to your lifestyle with Decor Evolve. Talk to your builder today to explore the possibilities.
All right, who votes for the USB video as their favorite? Hand up high. Who likes the smart dimmer video? And who likes the anthem video the best? Great. And with that, I thank you very much for the opportunity.
All right, how about that sexy transition between presenters and presentations right there? Thanks for coming. Hope lunch is halfway decent today. Hope you're having a good day so far. I'm excited to have a good group of panelists this time around to talk about some things that may seem pretty, I won't say normal, but normal in the technology industry. What I really hope to get out of this is to share with you some ideas on how to do a better job of selling tech into your projects. Not just selling tech into new construction projects, maybe even selling beyond the lifespan of the product, beyond the lifespan of the build. And there's some elements that go into doing that we'll touch on today. So with that, I'm going to let my presenters introduce themselves, and then I'll get back right into the presentation. Ken?
Good afternoon, Ken with Shea Homes.
Oh, that was quick.
I'm Dave Tovissi. I'm with Harman. If you don't know who Harman is, we're a house of brands. We have from JBL, Harman Kardon, lots of different brands, and we're partnered with Samsung, our parent company. So interested in hearing more about your business if we got time.
My name is Monica Wheaton. I'm with ECI Software Solutions. We have softwares for all the different players, if you will, in the home building industry. You may have heard of Mark Systems or Lasso. Those are some of our products.
Awesome. Thank you. So what is high performance audio video? And I don't have a slide for it, but I want to share this with you. AV is sort of a ubiquitous term. AV, when I started in the industry, literally meant audio and video. And it's grown to mean so much more. Your traditional AV integrators started in the audio and video business, and they grew into things like lighting control and motorized shading and temperature control solutions, all sorts of options inside the smart home or the automated home or whatever terminology you prefer to use. But high performance is a different category. So there's the stuff that you get that's sort of you could call it a do-it-yourself product that you can buy off the shelf, whether it's a Ring doorbell or a Nest thermostat. They're good at checking boxes, but they don't necessarily perform the way that we want them to. Audio and video products in the traditional sense may not be high-performance products. They might just be placeholders or spot fillers in that list of things that you want to offer to a consumer. So a sound bar, if anybody's ever looked at sound bars before, you can buy a sound bar for probably under $100 at Costco or someplace like that, and you can buy them for north of $1,000. And what's the difference in most of those products? Sometimes it's function, sometimes it's form, and sometimes it's the ability to perform and deliver an experience that you want to experience. If you were in my session yesterday, we were talking about wellness and the emotions and feelings that music can inspire. And those are really dependent on the performance level of the products that you install. So without the right products, you sort of miss out on the experience you're trying to garner. Thoughtful design is something we're going to touch on today too. I just want to give you a couple examples before we dive into the meat of the presentation. I think the photo on the left probably illustrates what most of you see when you offer a television pre-wire in one of your projects. It's not uncommon to have just a coaxial cable and an electrical receptacle over the fireplace. If you've got a more sophisticated integrator, they might run HDMI cabling from that same location to a cabinet, a closet, someplace that they can install the cable box or a connected device. Maybe they install two of them. You might even have a piece of Cat 5 or Cat 6 or Cat 7 at that location for network and Ethernet connectivity. But the end result is when you finish the project, if the homeowner didn't choose to have the TV installed by your integrator or by you as the builder, they're left with something that looks a lot like that picture on the left. So they're left with a decision. Now I have to drill holes in my wall and try and get a bracket level to the wall and hang my own TV and connect it to the wires that someone else installed and may or may not have labeled along the way. So I probably, if I'm not tech savvy or construction savvy, have to hire a professional or call a professional to do that work for me. What we're going to try and inspire today is the idea of thinking through simple tasks like this to be more like something on the right-hand side, where that solution might have everything except for the TV. So it's got all the connectivity, everything's labeled, the power is included in that box. There's room inside that enclosure behind the TV for your Apple TV device or your Google Play device or whatever you want to connect to that display. And as the homeowner, you can go to Best Buy and buy a television, or I can call my builder and buy a TV and essentially bolt it to the mount, hang it on the wall, plug it in, and I'm ready to go. It's a more turnkey solution and a better way to do something that doesn't cost a lot more than the old way, just a more thoughtful way to do this. And the same thing applies to things like sound bars and TVs. So if you look at the picture on the left, you probably don't get to go into a lot of the homes that you build after you've built them, unless you're running service calls. But I suspect a lot of places that you've built look a little bit like this when the homeowner gets a hold of the wiring that you've done after the fact. You unfortunately have no control over that, but the experience for the homeowner isn't great, the experience for their friends isn't great, and there might be a little bit of a ding to your reputation because the beautiful home that you built now is tarnished with a less than stellar looking installation. So having the thoughtful process as part of your design process and selecting the components and the systems you're choosing to install can do a better job of getting you a finished product that looks more like the one on the right than the one on the left. And so with that, I'm going to hand it off to Dave, who's going to talk a little bit about technology and working those into projects.
All right, thank you, everyone. So upselling technology, it doesn't have to happen at the time that you're delivering the home. What we're talking about today is giving you the options of delivering the product after the customer has moved in. They've chosen their furniture, they know what the paint colors are. They don't have to make all those decisions up front. What do you have to do to be able to offer that service? Is basically pre-wire for technology. So a couple things you should know about how technology is evolving. At one time, an AVR, an audio receiver, was the hub of everything, and you had to run all the wires to the AVR. Today, more than ever, your television is your media hub, and that's where people are streaming music, that's where they're streaming their video, that's where they're gaming from. They're doing, Teams calls. They're doing everything from the television versus some audio cabinet that you have to do. So what do you have to do as a builder is make sure that that location where people are primarily putting televisions has the technology and the infrastructure to be able to do all those things. What are all those things? You need bandwidth, right? If you're going to be gaming or if you're doing a Teams call, you don't want to fall off your important meeting with your client. And the one way is make sure you have the right infrastructure behind your television. We've already talked about audio. Where has audio changed? Sound bars is one of those magic things that people consumed during COVID. They were buying televisions, they wanted music, they wanted experiences, and they went with the easiest solution, which was a sound bar. But there's more to audio, and part of today is about high performance audio. You can make a high performance sound bar, or you can sell a separate AV receiver, and then after the fact, let the customer choose the speakers. Whether they're in wall or in room, it doesn't matter. But you have to wire for that, right? And give the customer the option of where those are going to go.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Sure.
Greg? I'm curious your thoughts on pre-wiring as an option. So, back in the day, I used to recommend that we future-proof a house and run wires so we can do these things later. Do people really do these things later?
Yeah, from our integrator standpoint, they do things later, but we definitely put a lot of wire in the home. You take a look at today, and what's transitioned is the architecture and the style and design of homes. So homes are getting a little bit more contemporary, clean line. And so it's not like somebody's going to put shutters on a rolling wall of glass. They're going to put motorized shades. And so in those locations, we're working with, whether it's Savant, Lutron, Hunter Douglas, understanding what consumers are going to do. And then you go, yeah, you can do a battery motorized shade. Who's going to climb up there and charge their battery, right? So we're pre-wiring all that stuff. We have to go to a central location so the drivers sit there. So yeah, there's a ton of wire in homes. Okay. It's not going away. It's increasing exponentially.
Yes.
And people are entertaining outdoors now too. So not only do you have to pre-wire for inside the home, but you also have to pre-wire for consumers and home buyers taking their entertainment outside. Whether it's television, watching a game, or really just sitting out and streaming music or working from home. You have to have the infrastructure to allow them to work outside of their home, which sometimes is just a Wi-Fi repeater. But you got to think of where those are going. You got to have power to those locations. So think about that as you want to create an environment and a great customer experience for your home buyer. Go ahead and pre-wire for those locations. So as I partnered with the Samsung team, and Samsung's done a lot of research, as has Harman, on what consumers are purchasing before and after a home, and the type of consumer is changing. So at one time, people were just buying TVs to watch television. Now they're using the television for a lot more. And in some cases, it's being used when they're not watching television. And that's where products like the Samsung Frame and other products are being used. So Samsung Frame is a way to just turn your television. I think the picture before showed a TV on the wall. I'll go back here. 80% of the time, that's just a black box hanging on your wall versus could it be a piece of art? Could it be your family portraits? Could it be, something else beside? It could be your logo for your company. It could be anything on there, but it's 90% of the time, it's going to look black on your wall unless you think a little about it. And Samsung has done an awesome job. There's other people who make frame-type televisions, but
there's an interesting point there that goes back to the first slides that I showed that if you don't plan for the Samsung frame style TV, have anyone ever installed a frame TV? Okay, so for those of you who don't know, the frame TV comes with a one connect box. So all the connections, the HDMI connections and whatnot, are in a separate black box that has to be within 9 to 15 feet, give or take, of the television. There are some extension cables for that, but you've got to plan for that. One of the things might be putting a recessed enclosure in the wall to house that box. So there's an opportunity as a builder for you to say, if this is a product that you like, because it's very unique in the marketplace, it's a really unusual look and an unusual way to install a TV, that we can not only prepare the fireplace or the area above the fireplace where we're going to mount this TV for you, but we can have this installed for you when you move in. Because I think what happens is there's some panic and fear on the part of the home buyer that I can't make it look like it did in the retail store or in the model home that I just toured.
That's so true.
It's a great point. So we have a great partnership with Samsung. We have a ton of their TVs. But the craziest thing, the TV is actually low voltage. And so you have a housing, and so we have to put an access panel inside the wall. We have to run power in that access location. But basically, the TV is always on.
Yeah.
And then it has motion sensors. It's creepy how it works, but it's pretty cool.
Some of them have microphones and listening all the time as well.
Yeah, it judges my singing.
We try and avoid the word creepy in these conversations.
Well, when you walk in the room, it comes on and your favorite art or your kids are on the TV, which is, it's IoT.
So, and again, we already mentioned that people are taking their entertainment outside, and companies like Samsung with the Terrace television are ways to prepare for that. And again, you got to wire it the same way as you do inside the home.
And that's another opportunity, though, because weatherizing connections and weatherized brackets and things are important. The homeowner takes an off-the-shelf Best Buy bracket home and puts it on an outdoor TV, and within 3 weeks, it's rusty. There's things that you can do as a builder to improve your overall experience for your homeowner.
Yeah, and some of that research I was telling you about, we'd be happy to share it, but people are buying outdoor entertainment more and more. COVID was part of what started. You had to be outside, but more and more people are expanding their entertainment. It usually starts with cooking, and then it turns into entertainment. So wherever you're putting, outdoor kitchens, think about, where you should put your outdoor entertainment as well.
I think you and I were talking about outdoor stuff yesterday.
Yes.
You want to share our conversation?
Well, again, I'll get back to home designs. If you take a look at the way we did homes 15, 20 years ago, you had a living room, a family room, a breakfast area, or dining rooms. I mean, that's antiquated, right? So you have these homes that make the outdoor an extension of the living space. And so when you talk about audio, and people say that, I'm going to use my Bluetooth speakers. Not really the best solution because you have connectivity and all these different things. So we put conduit to the backyard because if you're watching a football game inside and you have a TV outside, you want the audio the same. Or if you're listening to some music inside of the home, you don't want a different audio channel on the outside. So it's really about that connected living where, you have the integration of those two different spaces where people can travel back and forth and feel comfortable, and you have the right ambiance, whatever it may be. And that comes with lighting and everything else that goes with that.
Yeah.
So we already talked about, Wi-Fi and everything else. Wi-Fi is becoming more and more important. From Wi-Fi 6, it'll be Wi-Fi 7. There's wireless technology that's allowing us to transmit audio and video throughout the house. And again, you have to just put the infrastructure in place, smart wiring in place to be able to do that. Some simple, how do you pre-wire for an outdoor television? It's as simple as you said. put the power in there, the conduit there. I would also figure out how you're going to get Wi-Fi out there because, again, remember these TVs are network devices. You can run Cat 6, Cat 7, but recognize that people are using their phones and everything outside and their tablets, so you got to also prepare for them.
So I'm going to make you pause there for a second.
Sure.
Too. I think it's kind of interesting that we're talking about a particular product and a particular outcome and an experience, whether it's an outdoor TV or a frame TV, and we're talking about pre-wiring for that opportunity. We've already thought through what the consumer is going to buy. So, and I see you nodding your head, 'cause I know you're going to agree with me on this, but why as a builder are we not promoting the finished outcome as opposed to taking it 75% of the way down the field? We know what this is going to be, and if we don't do it for you, you're not going to get the outcome that you expect because you haven't done it 3,000 times like we have.
That's so fair. So, a couple of those new technologies I talked about. First one was Bluetooth 5.4. It just started. The first products are coming out. What does that actually do? It extends the range of Bluetooth technology. It used to be that you had to be within 12, 15 meters. Now you can go upwards to over 100 feet away, 125 feet away with. And then the other part is Auracast. Auracast allows more than one Bluetooth product to be able to listen to the same. So you can actually broadcast from the TV or from other devices, broadcast to headphones, speakers, televisions, all with Auracast. And that's part of the 5.4 technology. The last thing I want to share, and then I'll turn it over to my peers, is a platform. I think you're probably all familiar with products like Sonos, where people are purchasing one Sonos product and they like it and they add on more and more. Well, imagine if you had a platform that was not just a single branded solution, but actually could talk to a lot of different products. And what we at Harman and Samsung have done is we've created a platform that allows you to take advantage of not only what consumers are going to be putting in their home when they move in, but also what they're bringing with them. And if you can think about a name like Samsung or JBL, you're talking about 2 billion devices that Samsung has sold. You're talking about hundreds of millions of portable speakers and sound bars and party boxes that brands like JBL has sold. Why would you not want to then carry that platform either in your model home or online, that you'll be able to share the other products that could talk with these? So we call it the one platform. It basically allows the consumer to get fully immersed from a sound bar up to an AVR, or it could actually talk to more speakers in the house. It could actually talk to a portable Bluetooth speaker, or it could actually go outside with one platform. So it's a single solution, much like Sonos, but it allows you to take a lot more products and attach it to it. And again, it's an easy setup. One app does it all. These are the types of products currently that are, and these are products that you could actually do post-sale. You don't have to think about just wiring and making the sale. These products could be available after the consumer moves in. We could help set it up where we can facilitate and drop ship to you or to your consumer. Those are programs that I'd be interested in talking about.
So, Dave, your solution could start with, let's say, an AV receiver to build a home theater or a living room media system for someone that can start with a left, center, and right speaker, say. Then you'd be able to add on wirelessly rear channels. You could add wirelessly sound bars in other areas. Correct. You can add these portable devices. So it gives them an ecosystem that they can sort of grow on. And
absolutely, work with, right? Yeah. So that was kind of my presentation. Who's next?
Before we start with Monica, I want, Ken, you brought a video, I think. I want you to share. So before Ken talks over this video, I think it's kind of interesting. So we're going to shift gears a little bit and talk about how we market technology to the end user as home builders. And I think Ken's company has done a great job doing this, which is one of the reasons he's sitting here. But it's also kind of interesting to think about why they've been successful versus why maybe some other companies have been less successful marketing technology. So I want you to sort of speak to that. So think about it while he's speaking and showing these visuals, and we'll have Monica sort of reinforce his points with the awesome stuff they're doing with software to help you promote your products as well.
Okay. Who's all the builders in here? Let's show of hands. All right, you're all revenue generators, and we've dealt with technology companies for a lot of years, and technology companies have had proprietary platforms. I like to take a look at our homes as proprietary platforms. So while some of these products are great that people can buy in secondary markets and that we provide the opportunity for them to connect their existing devices or future devices, why do we invest so much time understanding how consumers live and what we can do, and to have a wired home instead of a wireless home is we're competing against resale. So when you have these devices that you can, a Sonos soundbar, you'll never see one of those in our homes because you can go and buy one of those and plug it into an optical port in the back of your TV. So we're trying to say life is a little bit different. When Sean was showing the TV mount, right? That TV mount, we're putting that in the wall, right? All your connections are there. You don't have cables hanging down. So there's things that we have to do as a builder to say, we're in control. You know, we can provide a buyer a journey that they cannot experience with a resale home. And so whether any technology that you're offering, you know, we're constantly looking at, you know, how do we monetize that? Our models are extremely expensive. We hire hundreds of trades every day. We make those trades successful, but we're gonna try to get the biggest bite out of the apple when those consumers are in our design studios or meeting with our technology. So same video I showed, but you know, the biggest thing I would say to all the builders is invest time with smart integrators and great manufacturers and learn their products and establish those partnerships. That's a lot of partners just at one community, and I didn't put them all of them up there. Because like your company, you know, you guys are constantly educating us, and they give you insider's look on the product that's coming out in the future. The other one piece that I'll finish with is manufacturers have retail information that will help you drive your business better. If they're selling to big box stores or, you know, online or wherever they're selling, and you have 17 TVs to pick from, why we shifted to the art TVs, I call them art frame TVs, whatever, because the sales just did a hockey stick, and I'm like, why would we miss out and put a traditional TV inside of a home? The Samsung has a proprietary bracket. It sits, I think, 1/16 of an inch off the wall. Absolutely stunning if you don't have them. But anyways, think differently and make more money.
You said something that really kind of stuck with me in that conversation, and you said that you're in control. And I think that that's a really big point that deserves revisiting a little bit, because as a builder, I think it's probably normal to feel like you're not in control because technology is sort of evolving without us. Home builders, or home buyers, I should say, come with their own preconceived notions of what they want to put into their houses. The manufacturers, the integrators are all driving you to push different products at different times. You come to events like this and you see something new and exciting and you get excited about putting it into your home, and you sort of lose control of that process. But there are things that you control: what goes inside the walls, how things are constructed, the way that these systems are designed and put together so they look like professional finished systems. You'd never let somebody bring their own kitchen sink to one of your projects.
No.
So why would you let them bring their own technology into a project? And when we talked yesterday, you mentioned your backyard systems. Now you're seeing some of your luxury projects are $30,000 or $40,000 or $50,000 worth of backyard technology with lighting and speakers and what have you.
Yeah.
So how does that happen? It happens because, right, you're in control, right?
Right, we demonstrated, and our sales team utilizes the application. It's how we turn the lights off in the model. It's how we lock up the model, and then all the automation that happens. So all those scenes that you would create as a buyer, we created for a model. And so we get our sales team, not that they're selling that technology, they're letting customers experience the technology. We let professionals sell it. You know, and so it's nice when your sales team doesn't have all the answers, because then you go, hey, let me connect you with Sean. He can do all that stuff for you. But it's just that exposure, you know, that you have for those customers. So, yeah, it's fun stuff.
But it's really funny because I think that there's a lot of home builders that I've seen building in communities where they've got innovative designs, they've got really unique floor plans, they've got these great ideas for selling their home, but they sort of stop at the technology border. So you put a $50,000 system in someone's backyard that's mind-blowing, and they may never buy it. You may never sell a single one. You probably do because you're great at what you do, but you may not sell one. But what you have is a buyer that experiences something they've never seen or heard before, and it's a memory point for your community and for your project. But it's also something for them to aspire to. That when I move in this house, I can't afford it today, but man, I really like to have that someday. And I saw how it was done and how it fits in this space. I think it's a really powerful tool that gets overlooked a lot.
Well, and there's little things too. I mean, when you take a look at our move-up buyers, or what we would classify as mid-luxury, I'm sure I can go in most builders' models and or your homes, and by your sliding glass door, you have 2-4 gangs stacked up, nice and pretty. Then you have a volume control and maybe another control for something else. And I look at that and go, really? For a small amount of money, you can do just 2 switches, 2 gang outlet there. And, we call it, this terrible eyesores that we put in our home. We have hop over ducts and registers and speakers and pre-wires and all this stuff. And so we're trying to take a look at it and regardless of the price point and say, how do we make our homes look more attractive, more sexy to the customer? Because they're going to, live in that. So anyways, I challenge all of us we can do better, right? We can always do better.
Absolutely. I think we'll revisit the design conversation as we go, but Mike, I think that you've done a pretty remarkable job of helping take all these designs and all these thoughts and sort of push them to the consumer, right?
Yeah, and that's really what we're here to talk about today. Is like all this stuff is really very great and very cool. And you're right that builders stop before they put in all this AV because it's complicated, right? And it's hard to really explain that to the consumer and things. But I think one of the best way, like we talked about, is to show them. So you set up your model homes and you wire them so that they look right, or you can test out, or the buyers can come in and test out some of this AV. But another good way is to get this into like an online design center as well, so that the buyers can take a look at it and do some of their own research. So I'm just going to show you some of the builders that we've worked with that have helped to, they leveraged a tool that we have called Insert to explain some of the, or to offer some different types of upsell on the electrical and the AV for the buyers, so the buyers can go in there and kind of play around with it. So this is an example of a online design, or an online, basically interactive floor plan that buyers can come into the builder's website and play with. And on there, you'll see they have a selection called Standard Electrical. And if you click on the Standard Electrical, you can also then see that there's a whole electrical category there. And in the electrical category, what they can do is then select upgrades that they might want to have in their home based on the layout and the floor plan. So maybe a buyer knows kind of how they're going to be using the different rooms, or how they want it set up, where they're going to be spending most of their time. They can play around with the electrical layout based on what you've kind of outlined in your plans. So that's kind of one way to do that. Another way to highlight it for buyers is through another kind of view here, where you have like a cutout of the home, and you can highlight different areas where they can have some of that technology. And so I've just highlighted just a few there, and what you'll see is just if the buyer clicks on any of those red boxes there, they'll get more information on how they can use the technology and different things that they can put in different areas of their home. And this is a good way, again, so you have it in your model home, but you also have it here where a buyer can sit at their house with their husband, with their wife, kids, sisters, aunts, uncles, whatever, and then kind of go through the home and talk about how they're going to be living in it and what they're going to need when they're having parties, or when they're entertaining or having guests over or whatever, or even just a Saturday night home alone. They can see themselves using some of this technology. And so this helps you to sell your homes better as well if you're offering these high-end types of AV products. Another way is to leverage, this is one of our online design centers, and so this is, again, it's Insert, and it's connected through Mark systems. So the really cool thing about this is that you can build out options in your system. You don't have to have everything displayed in a model home or a design center, but you can still offer it, and you can still give information to the buyer. So I highlighted that box down there because, unfortunately, what a lot of builders will do is when they build out an online design center, or even when they have like their spreadsheets or their booklets or whatever, they call this category low voltage electrical. That is not doing yourselves any kind of favors. So I would recommend don't do that. Start going through some of your marketing material and calling it the smart home features. Even if it is just low voltage and electrical, but that will change the mindset of the buyer, and that will actually elevate this whole section for you. And we missed a little edit here because last time I did this presentation, I used an example of a builder who did have that labeled low voltage, and John Galante called me out. Because again, you're missing an opportunity if you're not highlighting smart home features.
Right.
And so just to kind of follow through on this example, what you'll see here is when you click on the smart home features, you get the electrical options, you get the audio visual solutions, and home security. And you can dig down and offer options again in there that you don't have to display. And you have in there more information about which each of those categories are and what the buyer might want to select there. And as you're going through, the buyer can then select whether they want to do more luxury audio or anything like that. One of the things here is what we were talking about is not everything needs to be installed. Some of it is attachment sales. What you're doing here too is if you want to offer attachment sales, you're basically whetting the buyer's appetite, letting them know that these are things that you're thinking of as a builder and that are available to be part of the home. And they can technically buy it through here if that's what they want. But they can also then have a wish list and keep it on their list for later if it's something that they want to revisit or look at after they've bought the home. So once they've made their selections, and this is just the way the design center works, it gives them a little check that they've selected all their audio visual solutions, and then they can go through and select some of the rest of the products in the house. But again, this is something that you can, once you've had a relationship with the buyer and they're doing their selections, you can give them this link and they can sit at home and go through it and review it on their own time. They can come in and talk with the designer. They can make those selections. They can get their questions answered. The designer could potentially call in an integrator if they have other questions that they need answered.
Do you have any statistics on how this is viewed by your end users? How many times it's clicked? How many things are sold?
Yeah, we do have some information. This shows you the wish list there that they're building as they're making selections. But I
went too far. There you go.
To the slide. But we do have a builder who is offering, and through InSearch, we do have reporting. And so what it does is, as the buyer is going through and building out their wish list, it's basically logging everything that they're interested in, everything that they're selecting, and it does that for all of your homes as you're leveraging this tool. And so what it will do is it will show you the trends. And so one of the builders that we work with shows their graph that there are quite a few of their buyers that are selecting AV types of products, and they're putting them into their home. And so it is, there's not a lot of builders that are offering it at this time.
That's shocking to me.
Yeah.
It's 2024, almost 2025.
Yes.
I've been at this for, 30 years. And there's a lot of builders that aren't even offering technology. And what I noticed, and I don't mean to put you in a bad position, but smart home technology was the bottom right-hand corner of a list full of things and amenities you can put into a home. Is that because technology is hard? Is that why it's not a builder offering?
Well, I don't think it's that hard.
Well,
we have a baseline technology package that really starts out people with Alexa. And then, similar to if you're a big builder, whether you're using KitchenAid, Whirlpool, you name the manufacturer, you have a national contract. You get a national contract with other companies, whether it's Savant, Lutron, Control4, and so we offer all of those products. And so we start baseline, bring the devices that you bought on Amazon, and you can plug them into your home. If you're a move-up buyer and you want some aspect of that, we put them into Control4 or Savant's basic system. So we're matching, we have this whole series of product line that we're matching to the consumer. And regardless of a price point, our customer meets with our integrator. And so the integrator appointment in today's world is basically high voltage and low voltage. It's the whole thing. And the low voltage side, that's cameras. Who doesn't put a camera on their home today? If you're not offering cameras, then you're kind of missing out another opportunity, which we're not even talking about up here. But it's every aspect that you see customers buy, into your point, in a retail basis, offer them into your home and say, you know what? You can wire that camera in the nursery. You don't have to do an IP-enabled camera that somebody could hack into, you can turn that camera off or unplug it or however you want to do it. So, it's like I said earlier, we took a different approach. We felt like we were out of control and we're going to get in control, and we're going to work with great manufacturers and great integrators and provide a different experience to our customers.
I think there was a time in history, and I'm not a builder, so let me qualify by saying that builders thought, or many builders thought, that selling granite countertops in kitchens was going to be impossible because they were too expensive. Am I right?
Yeah, at one point, Formica was a great product.
Yeah. It feels to me, and I'm a little biased because I'm in the tech industry, but it feels to me as though that same thing is happening to technology in these home sales, is that it's too expensive, it's too difficult, I don't want to think about it, I'm not an expert in it. I think there's some fear because most builders don't want to spend their time learning about tech because I think largely you're afraid that you're going to learn about it and they're going to replace it with something else tomorrow, and you got to learn about something new tomorrow. So there's a lot of missed opportunities when it comes to technology, and I think that the appetite for technology is bigger than we give it credit for being.
Well, Sean, I mean, you hit a great point, and I brought it up yesterday talking about cars. If you drive a 10-year-old car, right, you don't know what you don't know unless you go to a dealership or look online and you hop in your first 22, 21 car, and you hop in and it connects to your phone, and you're like, how did I ever drive a car without this? Yeah. Well, we're doing the same thing with homes. Our customers, if they've never owned a home before, or they're in an antiquated, used home, when they're coming to us, their expectation level is radically different, and I think they benchmark us against other industries. We got to be smarter.
That's an analogy I used for a long time, the car analogy. It's a little bit different the way I spun it than you did. But I used to ask people this question who were building houses. If you went and bought a 2019 Honda Accord, right, a sort of plain vanilla vehicle, it's going to have some level of lighting control in it. It's going to have some level of climate control in it. It's going to have some level of audio and video, or probably just audio in it. It's going to have your maybe ability to connect to a phone, maybe not, at least via Bluetooth or USB at a minimum. Some of them have motorized shades. My old car used to have the rear shade in the back, going up and down for the babies in the back to keep them out of the sun. And it was all integrated through an interface that you can actually use while you're driving. Think about that for a second. Car manufacturers took enough time to build an interface and a system that could live in a spot, a small confined space. It could be operated by somebody whose eyes were supposed to be someplace else. But for some reason, as home builders, we couldn't figure out how to do that well in multi-million-dollar projects that we were building. There's an opportunity that I think we're all missing. Right. What I think is also funny is I liken it to, so Samsung's a great example. How many appliances does Samsung sell to the building market?
No, when I asked my counterpart at Samsung, it's $1 billion industry just for builders.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Billions of dollars worth of appliances into the building industry every single year.
And that doesn't include what they sell to the retailers that sell to builders. It's direct, was over $1 billion.
Yeah. So why do you sell ovens and refrigerators and microwaves? Because it's easy. Right? Every house has them. Well, every house has this stuff too, or it should. And if you don't put it in, your buyers are going to put it in later. And I think that it goes back to the first point I made today, that if you let them put it in themselves, maybe their experience is less than awesome. And it probably reflects poorly on you, because when someone sees their brand new beautiful home with that TV with the wires dangling out the back end of it, it's not a great look, and you have the ability to control that and to fix it.
Well, and it's such a great additional revenue opportunity as well. Like, if you're offering and putting stuff in, they're, like you said, they're going to buy it from somewhere anyway, and it's a great revenue opportunity for you as a builder to have that offering.
So there was originally, we were scheduled to have someone else on the panel who's got a conflict in his schedule, but he runs a company that sells furniture through builder models, which I think is a brilliant idea. I don't think the technology is quite as ubiquitous and quite as easy as maybe an end table. An end table, you take it out of the box and set it on the floor, and a speaker you've got to actually connect to something somehow, whether it's wired or wirelessly. But at the same time, there seems to be opportunities. You guys have showrooms all over the place in your model homes. And I think in this room, there's probably a couple hundred based on the people just at this event, if not more. There are opportunities, right? Are you seeing people interested in doing after the move-in type sales?
Yeah, there's quite a few people, and there's a lot of stories from builders that we've worked with where the buyer will come into the model home and they ask about the couch, they'll ask about the bed or the painting or the furniture or whatever. And there are some builders who have actually taken advantage of that. So they've created some QR codes, and they've allowed their designers to work with companies like Mine and Wayfair and those kind of companies to curate or to be able to offer the buyers to just scan some of that stuff and sell it, and they get a little bit of a spiff off of the sales that go through their model home.
Yeah, I think it's also important to know that as a consumer buying a home from you, I'm not interested in bringing my old stuff to your new home. So you got to realize they're going to buy all new stuff anyhow. Why not potentially make it easier for them and buy it from you all? And that's, I think, what we're all saying is create the partnerships with suppliers, with an integrator, to help your customers have a better experience, because they want new technology when they move into a new home.
Well, and if you take a look at the leadership, the highest leadership of big builders, right? They're either accounting, finance guys or girls. They're sales or operations, right? And so when we're talking about adding these things, the thing you have to be realistic about. Appliances, insider trading. We set our margin on appliances at 18 to 20%, right? And design studios are 45 to 60%, but you're offering a convenience, right? Put a new washer and dryer and a refrigerator in your home, and we're not going to make a whole lot of money. Why am I going to price gouge? You already made a ton of money on your home, depending on the builder. I'm teasing. And so the same thing with low voltage. We sit there and we put a really low margin on it. We want a high take rate. Why do you want a high take rate? When their friends come over and they're in that home and they're like, oh my gosh, look at the stuff that you have. Yeah, it's one of the benefits of buying a Shea home. You should buy one. You should be my neighbor. So, I said it yesterday, this considering thing, that voice of the customer and those ancillary leads that you're going to get from people experiencing technology in the home. Who didn't have somebody that bought a Tesla and said, oh my gosh, you need to take you for a ride or a drive. This thing's going to come pick me up, or look, it's going to drive me to the restaurant. You're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I'm going to buy a Tesla. Well, let's have them buy new homes. Demonstrate the technology and get it out there and let consumers experience it. And I think we're going to make a difference.
I want to touch on another thing too. It's trust. And has anybody purchased anything of significance lately on Amazon or on the internet, or done research, or gone to a store and spent more than $1,000 on something? Anybody? No one's bought anything?
Does my wife from Russia count?
No. All right, well, I'll just pretend that you did. Pretend you didn't say that too. But if you make a significant purchase, the internet has given us all sorts of tools to look and research on those things we're purchasing. So we spend a lot of time doing that homework, and sometimes that research leads to paralysis, right? So you end up looking at options, and you think you're going to find 2 or 3 things, and you pick the best of those 3, and you find 300 or 3,000 options. Then you take a deeper dive into that product, and you get deeper into you go down this rabbit hole where you start to wonder if that's even the product that you wanted to begin with, because there's something similar to that. So you end up making a decision, or no decision, which is worse. But you make a decision that you may or may not be happy with when the time comes. So when it comes to technology, there are literally billions of combinations of products and devices you can install in house. Literally billions. It's almost infinite how many options you have to choose from. So when the builder walks away and hands you the keys, you're now left with those options, those decisions to make. And you don't necessarily know who you trust, because Best Buy is a big store. And unless you've got a guy in that store that you've known forever and worked with before, do you really trust the guy in the blue shirt at Best Buy to tell you what to put in your house? He's never been to your house. He doesn't know you. The person who knows your house better than anybody as you first move into it is probably your builder. Because they've built that house how many times? How many houses you build a year?
6,000.
Okay. So after 20 years, that's 60.
Oh, how many have?
Yeah.
I mean, I only got like over 30,000 in my career.
Okay.
Just a couple.
Yeah. So this guy's company has some experience with that product. So if they're going to tell me that this is the right product for the right application, it's going to look good, it's going to sound good, it's going to give me the result that I want, I could see it demonstrated properly in the model home, why wouldn't I buy that? Why wouldn't I buy it from them? Especially, I mean, you're talking about discounting, which I haven't heard that conversation lately, but you're going to sell it for a price that's the same as I'm going to pay someplace else. Why wouldn't I? And forget about the mortgage, right? That's another conversation. But why wouldn't I buy it from you if I'm going to buy it anyway? I think there's opportunities for builders that are overlooked on a regular basis. And look, an extra $500 per house when you're building 3 houses probably isn't going to move the needle very much. But if you're building 3,000 houses, it's kind of a deal. It starts to become, the bean counters get excited about those kinds of numbers.
Yeah, I mean, you can go online right now, 55-inch Samsung, I think 50-inch Samsung TVs like $1,100, right? You're not going to charge $2,000 and go, hey, we're doing you a favor, but you're going to make the money on the infrastructure to get the TV there. So, I think you just have to be realistic. The other thing is, if you're offering Samsung appliances and somebody comes in and says, I want LG appliances in my home, that's fantastic. You can put them in after you close because we're offering Samsung appliances.
Yeah.
It's some of the technology that you offer in your home. That's the technology that you offer. You vetted it out. Can people always find something else later, cheaper? Yeah. The other thing is when we're doing a comparison to retail, if you buy it from a builder, number one, you get to finance it. And number two, you don't pay sales tax. So you have to equate these things in there. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I mean, we've been talking about this for a long time, Sean, and we're making quantum moves. I see, many big national builders, stepping up and offering products and really trying to transform our industry. And that's my biggest mission is how can we be better, as an entire industry and offer better products and get aligned. And I think we're getting there.
I think you are. And the reason you're here is because you're one of the more progressives when it comes to thinking about this. And the other thing I'd suggest when we're talking about technology is you talk about Savant, you talk about Control 4, you talk about Crestron, you talk about Oliver IQ, all these different manufacturers of control systems. And if you look at a system as a whole, if someone spends $10,000 on a system, that branded component may only comprise 20% of that purchase. So the other products that are attached to that are the other 80%. So the light switches, the light fixtures, the speakers, the TVs, the brackets, the Wi-Fi access points, those types of things. So when you're putting these things together, you've got to be thoughtful about what you're putting in to the point where you have to think about your people showing these products in the home. So when I'm showing the ceiling speaker and I see the round speaker with the grill and the bezel that I've seen 100 times before, I don't even think about it because I've seen it 100 times. It doesn't excite me. You've got it, and you've got it, and you've got it, and everybody else has that speaker. But when I play a set of invisible speakers, or I've got a small aperture speaker that's the same size as the recessed light that I put in the ceiling, or I did a better job with my lighting selection, and I bit the bullet and said, I'm not putting wafer lights in this beautiful home that I'm building. I'm going to put a real traditional recessed light in and make it perform better and look better. You've taken a step in the right direction because what you're doing is something that a lot of builders are not considering and not doing. So your product looks better. So when you demonstrate all these things, it's one thing to do a sound demo. It's very difficult to do. We talked about circadian rhythm lighting yesterday. It's a tough demo. It really is a tough demo. You've got to have a captive audience. You've got to have controlled light environment. You've got to have all sorts of things to make that happen. But there are little things you can do, like the framed TVs, like the invisible speakers, like the outdoor sound systems that are camouflaged in the landscaping. Linear lighting in coves and in bathrooms under a shower bench. These are just little features that your competitors aren't installing that you can install, you can make money on, and people will remember you because you've done those things.
Well, in one of the presentations, they were showing, pictures of homes. Like, what's the most popular picture that people look at? And they go, oh, it's homes from, sunrise or sunset. Well, one thing we started doing is hosting evening events at our model complexes. We can demonstrate the outdoor fireplace and the outdoor TV and the ambiance that it creates and all these different things. But, to get your sales team all excited about, during the optimal months, whatever season that is for you, that you pick a couple weekends a month, and they're not to sell homes. So I'm just going to make that clear. These are just open houses. We invite anybody that was interested in the community, the people that live there, bring out anybody that you want. And, we host appetizers and refreshments and, so people can experience the home. And I think that's to your point. When you're open daylight to daylight, it's kind of hard to experience some of those really cool aspects of what we do.
Well, I mean, a home is the biggest purchase most people make, and it's an aspirational purchase, right? Everybody wants the best home they can possibly buy for themselves and their family. And Dave, there's a lot of high-end audio that we didn't touch on that today. But I know Mark Levinson's one of your brands. Mark Levinson's probably more well-known now for car audio than they were for home audio back in the day, or more people know that name. But there are audio purchases being made today in speakers that are $10,000 or $15,000 or $20,000 a pair or more, amplifiers that are in the same price range. And it's not because they want to spend a lot of money or it's conspicuous consumption. It's because it performs a certain way and makes people feel a certain way. So are you seeing more sales into these?
Absolutely. And I think part of it was the experience that you get when you you're immersed into it. So the invisible speakers is a great idea, great concept. There is when you can't see the speaker, you're no longer listening to speakers, you're listening to music. And once that person takes I call it wall acne and ceiling acne, you have your name for it, but once you get rid of the acne and you're just listening to music, it changes everyone's perspective of entertainment. And the other part with invisible speakers is you're no longer competing with the interior designer who has, wants to put chandeliers and whatever. You're actually able to put the speakers where they're actually going to sound the best because they're invisible, right? And you don't have to worry about that. So I think the technology's evolving. The pricing of these products are coming down. So what was once a luxury, custom install is actually can be done at masses now. And that's why having a partner and an integrator to bring you up to date. I think the most important part is being educated, so your team can be educated, and that's where partnerships like what we're doing here today could do that.
Yeah, like your in-wall bass speaker.
Yeah.
Instead of putting a cube in your living room and, I don't know, using it as a coffee table, it's invisible, ported speaker.
So if you're going to leave here with one thing, I would challenge you all to do something when you get back to your desks and your businesses and you're thinking about what the future of your homes and technology in your homes looks like. Anybody ever tried to buy a car online, gone through a configurator online? So most of the better car manufacturers don't offer options individually. You can't get a particular color steering wheel with a different color seat. They offer packages, right? When they offer a sport package in their car, it's usually going to be a different type of leather on the seats, maybe a different shape or size steering wheel, different pedals, maybe the seats have more bolsters on them to keep you from sliding around where you're handling. They're different suspension, maybe a different engine, a different look and feel to the vehicle. But there's some things in that package that you probably don't really care a whole lot about, but you want those really cool red leather seats, so you got to buy the sport package, right? I would challenge you to think about technology in the same way, that you are the expert at the car, just like the car manufacturer is. You're manufacturing this house, and there's features that you think that people should have, and that might be a bundle of services or a bundle of systems that all work really well together and look great when they're finished. And offer that as a package, offer that as a bundle, and maybe even make a standard package and then an upgraded package, and do it thoughtfully so that you end up with the results like the first slides that we showed. So when your client moves into the house and they have their friends over to entertain and they show up at sunset and they turn on that outdoor audio system and that outdoor TV, that the experience they get is about the house as sort of an overview of an entire environment as opposed to a system inside of a house. I don't want people leaving one of Ken's houses saying, did you see the countertop in the kitchen? It was the greatest thing I've ever seen. That's nice, but it might be, I prefer them to say, this is the best kitchen I've ever been in. Or this is the most comfortable home I've ever set foot in. Or between the music and the lighting and the shades and the fire pit and all the other stuff, it was amazing when I left that space. It was an experience that I want to replicate for myself. And I'm not sure I can do it in the house that I live in now, so maybe I've got to buy one of Ken's houses or one of your houses. I think that's the challenge. So work with your manufacturers, work with your integrators, work with your technology designers, work with people who know the business, talk to people like Ken who've done it before and been successful doing it, work with somebody like Monica to build a way to present that information to your buyer in a way that makes sense and it's easy and modular, and you can be really successful with tech. I think we have really undersold technology as an industry. The reason John put this event together is just that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, and I have several different examples of ways that builders have featured technology on their websites and through their buying process. And one of the things that is important too is we need to educate ourselves as builders, but you also need to educate the buyer at times too. And what is the technology? Why is it important? Why is it so good? And what are they getting from you? So we've seen some of the builders actually just build out a page on, or a blog on smart technology and things like that, and that's been very helpful. But yeah, I encourage you to do that, to look at the different packages and offer a package of things. You want to differentiate yourself that way with the buyers. So.
And please spend as much time looking at and thinking about technology as you do looking at HVAC systems and ERVs and ventilation systems. They're all important, but for some reason I feel like technology's become the stepchild of the home building industry where we get less attention than everybody else does. We've got a minute or so for questions. If anybody has any, Monica, you mind flipping the slides? They have all your contact info there.
There we go.
Call them to your next event. Thank you. I appreciate your attention and your involvement today.